And bing, bing, bing. And we're live. It's Sam, Michael, Anna in the background. I think it's going to be website one planning now because I'm running out of time for the day. Although now I've pressed the wrong button and something strange has happened. Go away. What was I trying to do? I was trying to press. Yeah, no, I'm screen there. Right place. Website one. So I'm sort of, I don't know, developing another guideline in my head. Oh. Which is to sort of say, like, that working on a project sensibly, the key, like, we did a review of the local support board. We did some reviews of PRs. It's good to try and, rather than being totally focused on work things, like try and get the board sorted out. So we have just done this deploy for website one. We've got this. Add the acceptance tests for YouTube, which I think is ready to go now, actually. Let's go and have a look at the pull requests on website one. Yes. So we've got this one, and I think this is all ready to go. Yeah, I think the only thing that stopped me merging this yesterday was just the it had some merge conflicts which were automatically resolved, and I think this now increases the chances that, well, we actually just wrapped test functionality, so it seems like that's good to merge to me. So let's just do that, and then that's merged, and so on our board, that should move that across there. We've also got this options for deleting users. I'm now looking at the wrong thing. That's add feature to allow the user to delete itself. So this is now in. It also needs updating. This is now, we've got deactivate account is now in the, I think in the right place. Very pleased to see. I think I had one last comment in there about we could be checking that the user is in a deleted state. I guess what I will do from there is go into website one, and I guess on the website one channel there. So that's I'm going to say here. Right. So that actually. So this is I'm going to do. And here, big thanks to Matt, it's MTC and ML for getting this characterization test in. And then I don't know how people feel about, like, at least we got some applause and a heart there. So I was going to pop in here. Big thanks to him for getting this WSO characterization test in. This is which is the one that's actually gone through there. So the clone pull. I mean, I sort of feel like, it's important to acknowledge the hard work that people are doing. Testing. I also want to Lindsay is a premium F2F member who's been doing great work on WSO and Redeemify. While is our oldest AV member. In fact, he predates AV and is an AV mentor and really appreciates the help and support he gave on this PR. There we go. But partly like having moved to the new Slack thing, there's like room for kind of like reintroducing everybody, but then like introductions are kind of boring. Like they don't really, I don't know. Anyway, So that's that. And I guess I was thinking, do I want to ask Matt? I'll just ask Matt about that one. We'll say here, Mel, I've merged ask Matt if he thinks about doing change there. So Bersuno Yuna is saying subscribe, please. And if you want to subscribe to all our stuff, please go to agiledventures.org. Find out more about what we do, how we make the world a better place, one line of code at a time. So other pull requests, we've got this very long-standing one from Raul. That test that we've got in place, that comes in there. I think this one and this one should maybe be closed. I've been sort of suggesting that to Matt Lindsay about closing that one. And should we close this PR until we get some acceptance tests? Right. Okay. So that's the state of play. So I'm seeing here Agile DevOps. So that means that I've lost my. So I want to see only the issues in my view of the board. So I mean, that one's sort of there as an in progress. It's an Epic. This is the in progress one that needed that extra test in. Raoul's long-standing one, premium membership Epic. I guess here we've got payment option, PayPal integration for other plans. Right. I mean, this is pretty much the key thing. We have actually just achieved and deployed in our ongoing Epic, somewhere where it looks like I had accidentally used here, that this one, make PayPal payment option more visible, has been done. That's 1435. So, gosh, that feels like a little bit of progress. Okay. Yes. Okay. And how? Why can't I scroll down in the page? There we go. I can. There we go. I'll update that. Okay. So this Epic continues. Documentation. Corey, we haven't heard from recently. Reflecting on this one, like, it's great to have the input for. It's not that long. I don't know. I found coming back to this, I don't know. It feels like I need to like clear half an hour to sit down to really get into it. I guess it is potentially a big refactoring of like our UX and so on.
Well, you have that project channel. I noticed event something.
Event manager. Yeah. I mean, that's which relates to this middleman thing that we've been kind of talking about, where I'm imagining, you know, a middleman setup where, you know, we have kind of all of the static pages are just sort of there, you know, and served very reliably and fast by GitHub Pages.
JavaScript dynamically pulls in the data.
Right, at specific. So like we have, you know, if we think about the main site, we've got the different things that need to be done dynamically, which are events, members, projects, premium.
I mean,
each of these has their own microservice from which we get the appropriate data.
I'm just wondering if it would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could co-opt Marion to help me do a spike.
Mm-hmm.
If she and I were to stand up a spike of just one simple thing, like just the events, you know.
Right. I mean, that's what the events manager.
If we got just an events API working, like a very basic events API.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's the event manager channel.
It's crud, you know.
What we're talking about is I mean what I'm
Right, and then a middleman site that actually interacts with it.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is how that
from
works.
what would be like if you said to us, "Hey, you event manager guys," which of course you could be one, but like so, Ed and Zizo are kind of interested in that. Is you guys make the event API, and if you and Marian stood up the middleman site, and then we had them talk to each other, that would be interesting.
But I don't really see. I mean, I think I'm in that channel, but I don't really see anything going on there.
No, well, it's not yet. I mean, it's on the cusp of starting.
Okay.
In that Ed is a face. He's also a premium face to face, and so he's accumulating hours of programming time with me. And he said that he wants to carry on. He's basically proposing that we start on it next week. So, I mean, you could spike if doing the back end that sticks out the API bit is of more interest, then do a spike on that. The thing in some ways that I think, which is maybe completely insane, but I wonder about doing.
What do you guys want to write that in? The event manager?
Well, I think that partly we're planning to start off with doing a Rails 5 app.
Okay.
With Action Cable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, it is itself, I think, will be initially just a spike to see how, Action Cable works and, WebSockets with Rails and whatever. And I'm kind of using it as an excuse to get out a series of features about, how I think events should work. Like,
that they're live, right? That they tell you.
Right. And that the page stays up to date and that, all the user experience gripes that I have with the way that the existing system works. Right. Whether we actually end up using that or not is another matter. But I sort of see it as what in my mind, what I'm seeing as the potential big advantage of this sort of microservices with a middleman setup is that then, if we get to the point that, so say that the events manager, for like 2 or 3 what have you, and we're like, oh, it likes it, we're making progress and it's fun and woo, and then we have the event system working, and like we go live with the middleman site, and we've got the thing, and then it's kind of like, oh no, actually, the number of users is spiking and Action Cable won't work. Assuming that it was using a consistent API, we could throw out that and replace it with an Elixir Phoenix stack,
sure.
Without having to throw out the entire everything or trying to like integrate that new portion heavily into the Rails monolith, right? Mm-hmm. That's the promise of kind of breaking our monorail into a series of microservices that they then can be kind of collected together into a single site. And if, for example, the events portion just goes offline because of some kind of ridiculous thing, I mean, this was the whole Amazon, the stuff that Armando promotes at the beginning of the course the course doesn't actually really touch ultimately is, part of the system could go offline, but you would still be able to sort of interact with the products part or the premium and still make payments, just that the events would unfortunately be offline. It wouldn't take the whole system offline.
Right.
And in particular, if the events came under a heavy load, that would be the events thing being slow, and the other, like the project, I mean, although someone's put a feature request to say like the product should list all the events, but anyway, that's a yeah, lots of ideas there. Yeah, I guess the impedance mismatch, coming back to this ticket, was I think Corey needs some small simple things to do, and then actually I kind of pulled in Ashley there, and then. So she said a fair amount of things, and
so we just have a React like a middleman in React.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's GitHub pages or something, and just loads real fast and.
I mean, the other thing that I think of is, should we create our own CSS framework? Like, I feel like I'm kind of fighting.
The only thing
is
to what extent. I'd like to know to what extent that will slow down the mobile end.
The mobile end, the what is it? You mean having React?
Having heavy job, like fairly heavy JavaScript,
Oh, okay.
often kind of a drag.
Yeah. That's a good.
And whether that pushes us towards actually eventually creating mobile apps.
Yeah, maybe.
Like maintaining, for regular desktops or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Sure.
a React slash, I don't know. Because there's like React Native or whatever.
There is. Yeah.
Or the mobile, and I wonder if that's like optimized for the mobile world more than just React running in a, in a browser on mobile. Because a lot of times when I use mobile sites on, they're kind of like, they can sometimes be very frustrating,
Yeah. I mean, that's
crash the browser and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we don't know is to what extent people are making use of the system on mobile and how much we need to worry about that. So it's kind of, I mean, certainly be very interesting to see. I mean, I like in the same way that having Node and possibly even Elixir stuff is getting people more excited. I mean, maybe what we do need is to have some mobile projects, and that will further make Agile Ventures an attractive place for learning.
We did have that with the refugee Unify, but then
for
some reason that fell apart. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is that Thomas just doesn't have the free time to both run his bootcamp and a project at the same time. Well, although I think particularly in Project Unify, what was frustrating. Well, I think there was a bit of a personality clash there between Free Ranger and Thomas that kind of sucked a lot of the air out of that setup, which was unfortunate.
Was he actually in that project?
Free Ranger. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think that we had a very specific challenge there that Free Ranger was being very active in that project and asking a lot of questions, and Thomas was kind of like saying, well, and that they kind of got into this locked horns and kind of like, and I think Thomas was, and it was, I think, ironically, for all of the energy, both of them ended up kind of being a bit sick of it and frustrated with it, and that,
Well, I noticed Free Ranger is no longer around, it seems.
No. Yeah, yeah. I mean, as we have turnover of people. Yeah, I'm just going back to this board here. So we've got these ready tickets, but they're, I mean, we like part of the project stuff is Matt Lindsay was slicing off bits of that. I guess what we should do really is, did you vote on that local support story?
No.
Yeah, vote on the local support story, and then we can start off a vote on some of the other stuff here. That's what I think I need to get into the habit of doing, just making sure that the votes are going on. Where's the async voter bot? Let me vote on that one. And Anar, feel free to vote on that if you're interested. Dun, 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 dun. I'm about to show the results though. So we'll look at it. Okay. What I will get ready to. So the thing at the moment, the danger that we have with async bot is that if I start a new vote in website 1, which I'm planning to do, like I think this errors on staging is actually here. That this is quite a nasty one. What I'm gonna it seems like we've got these errors on staging that prevent us seeing individual individual users, and that actually prevents us doing manual checks on staging that we should be doing. But so yeah, sorry, Anna, I probably shouldn't have fooled you because I want to start this new vote. You can I think I'm gonna, this is this thing, we don't have the functionality to support. I'm gonna do the results here and see what that is. Okay, so we've got You're in the minority. I guess you have a specific idea. I saw something in the PT. Okay, so that vote is done. So that potentially allows me to start a new vote in website 1. So that's at least, yeah, that'd be nice to get that fixed. But so I guess the thing that we were just talking about before the break, and what I'm seeing as the next critical thing becomes, and do we have tickets for them? I mean, they're sort of all related to the Epic. So it's basically a sponsorship via PayPal, and the PayPal payments don't update our model on the server. Now I think probably fixing this updates on the server has to come first, doesn't it? So
I think so.
Yeah, because we need to come back to we need a way of letting ourselves know that it was a sponsorship that was intended rather than a self sign up. But so actually, what we could maybe use Anar for here, although Anar's not, well, you're not necessarily involved in this project, although you're entitled to be. I mean, I guess the other thing have I got that we were talking about is for the plans, provide upgrade options for all plans. Right, so there's still the confusion about the sets of upgrades, but I guess the fact that people are potentially offering us money for doing sponsoring of other users means that providing generic support for new plans is would be higher priority. So there's an additional ticket there, which is like, so we should be saying like add support for generic subscription plans, new plans under development. Could we support new plans without having to deploy code as an admin? So that I can quickly release new plans. I would like to be able to, this releases like, so that I can release new plans without applying new code, so that I can adapt the charity business fast. Yeah, but so definitely that feels like a bigger thing that's a little bit further away. Are you going to like not work, or you are going to work for me? Okay. And there I agonize between like the ability to sponsor via PayPal. I have reasonable faith that might bring in, like £30 a month over 3 months, and then or 1 month, and then lead into possible additional premium members. But the thing that would, like the payment endpoint support for Armando, well, again, he's saying like, oh yeah, maybe 10 people will sign up for that, and if 10 people signed up for that lowest level, that would be like an extra £250 a month, which would be pretty big, pretty good step in the right direction. But then just not known. But the I think we probably have to I think this Yeah, I think we need to knock this one off first. Something's got to happen. So I wonder if actually maybe we can have a let's have a manual sort of vote on this just in this hangout with the three of us in parallel to the async vote going on in the website one. So I was looking at the PayPal docs, and so that as and I may not know, Michael, just refresher from what we were doing recently is so our subscribe button for the credit card, which goes via Stripe, that opens a form, and I was recently gone through this, and when you submit your card, it then Stripe, it sort of hits an endpoint on our server and then makes the customer on the back end. What it actually occurs to me, and I want to ask Stripe this, is like, do you have to have that back end component? And it seems in principle to me that, you know, you could have a Stripe button just like a PayPal button. Like the PayPal button here, this takes us off to a separate thing here, and you do this payment at the end, it doesn't return to our site with PayPal. And that's actually, you know, for talking about middlemen and static sites, you know, that would be sufficient, right? But as far as I could tell, and I should double check this with Stripe, the Stripe one seems to require you to have, like, it will take the credit card details, but it won't create the customer entity on the Stripe servers unless you do that via the you know, Rails server connection, which is kind of strange. But that's all by the by to this ticket, which is about having the PayPal payment update our model on the server. And so what I'm reading about here is these individual items variables, and it seems like you can kind of pass back sort of whatever you want, almost. Is that right? So you've got HTML variables for PayPal. There we go, technical variables. If we look at our PayPal buttons setup, so tools, PayPal buttons. So does that buttons? Where are the buttons gone? I'm still not used to this mouse over and automatically pop up. I'm always clicking it too many times. But so here's our premium thing, and if we edit the button, we have these advanced options down here, which so take customers to this URL when they finish the checkout. And then we've also got this ability to add advanced variables. So what I thought I was reading about, and that says HTML form basics, sample button code. Was I looking at the wrong thing? Create a payment button. Customize advanced features. Oh, here we go. Use advanced variables. This was the thing. So it seemed like I might be getting this wrong. It seemed like, you know, we can add if we just take that off for the moment, that we can put, I don't know, this is like, you know, user ID equals 14 or something. Now does that, okay, no, maybe this is not going to work the way that so I've just edited this.
It's not visible, like what the user ID is.
No, it looks like that's going to be stored. Like PayPal, I guess, they've got, you know, their record of this subscribe button, and the subscribe button presumably has got an ID. Yeah, hosted button ID,
which is not. We don't know how that really works.
No, well, presumably this looks up. It's a unique reference for this button,
Right.
and
Right.
so I think it could on the like. What I imagine would happen is, if we specified that it went to this thing, it would like add some extra variables, but they're not going to be dynamic, are they?
Right.
But it says like, well, if you choose to include this variable within HTML code when you write manually, you can use the following standard for HTML format. So that seems like it could be going into the button. Doesn't it?
What's it say? Read this again.
Well,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's saying like if you want to handle as purchases orders and funds, use the HTML. I mean, this is a way of, but I guess it may be filtered on which things you can actually. Where do we have that? Did I click in here for more information to see that was where I got that link from before? Hidden. Like there may be a limited set of, but I think. Oh, using the HTML variables with save payment buttons. However, you can enhance dirty code for save buttons by adding hidden HTML variables that do not affect the transaction amount. For example, you can enhance save buttons with automatic fill-out variables.
Yeah, I see someone's got input type hidden, name this value equals XXX, like on Stack.
Yeah.
Well, does that get passed back to the?
Well, if it didn't, it kind of PayPal's not going to be able to do anything with it like a custom. I mean, I guess it's got filling them out automatically. I don't really care about.
Well, really, all we want is us to be able to pass.
Like
they then pass back to us, right?
Right.
See, what I think, really what we want.
What I like.
And we accept that someone could tamper with that value, right?
Right.
If they added HTML, but that really.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't be too worried about that. But so what it sort of seems like is that we could have in our subscriptions, pretty much delete that PayPal one. But so in here, like the PayPal thing could have here, like I think it that it's going to prune variables that are not approved.
Oh.
But so, for example, we could have like item number. Yes, the value you specify is passed back to you upon payment completion. So this could have like name, item number, and then in here
would be the ID of the user.
Yeah, like if we made that the user ID.
And then it says you can then basically track all the revenue from that item number, which would be like a way of tracking how much.
Yeah, like I think they're thinking that we would use it so that like, I mean, this item number could influence, but we would have different plans for that and so on. So I think we would use it in a slightly different way than they imagine, but that's our prerogative, I think. Oh, and I'm not running the server.
And then I'm thinking about, in terms of the code on our end, how to make that explicit, that actually, like, what's the best way to say to developers in the future that item number is actually the user, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know if they've got some, I mean, I guess
because it's going to be coming back as item number, right?
Yes, and I mean, we could, for example, put item.
Yeah.
No, but we could add item name, and we could like have item name and have that be like the item name is username. We could say it's user ID. We could have. Sorry, I'll just
Have
say
a param, like a part in the controller that translates it to.
Well, what does it say? What is it, item? Like if we say the item name here like this, and we kind of specify that it's user ID, that pair gives a hint. Quantity, weight. Option amount, option select, payment transaction variables, shopping cart variables, recurring payment variables.
Or we just literally like put in the controller in the params, you know, a thing that maps
Yeah.
the item number
Mm-hmm.
to a user.
Right.
And then it's kind of like, it'll at least, if someone's paying attention to the code, it'll alert them that those things are being mapped.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm seeing that these are clearly the ones to use. Nothing else in there kind of makes more sense than that. Okay. So it looks possible in principle. I mean, I guess. Yeah. So this is a setup here, like if we're not logged in, that would fail.
So do we want to vote on this, or?
Yeah, we do. I was just gonna.
Before you run out of time.
Yeah, I gotta go. I was just gonna see, like, if I clicked on this button now, if that made, because that'll go to PayPal. Okay, so like the description will like fill in there, so we can't use that there. So that's like potentially if we want to change what appears there.
So if you click it,
if I click it now, it should give us like it's. I mean, it's a nicer, but so there would be there was also, I was just seeing in here, there's a question about testing your payment buttons. Create sandbox test accounts. Navigate to the PayPal developer dashboard. Under sandbox, click accounts. Create 2 test accounts, a business account for a test seller, personal account for a test buyer. Gosh, do we then have to create completely separate buttons? I guess we do. Okay, well, I won't do that now. But so that presumably provides the mechanism for us to check.
Test it.
Yeah, and we can have that set up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so maybe Anar, I know maybe you're not able to talk, but if you had any questions about this feature, you could be asking us in the group chat. One other thing on my mind is, so they do also have a REST payments API, which presumably this would allow us to do more of the sort of Stripe-like experience. Yeah, I think in the first instance, Anna, this ticket's like the plan configuration and so on, that's like separate. So we're focusing very, very narrowly on, we want the current PayPal payments, which work. We've seen that they work, but they don't call back to our server, and our server doesn't make a record against the user ID or whatever, the user that they've upgraded.
So right now, Sam's just basically getting emails from PayPal when people sign up, and then
exactly
matching manually.
Yes, which is not ideal. And I think from looking at this, it seems like, editing this HTML button so that it passes back the user ID and we just handle that is probably the path of least resistance. Like setting up PayPal so that we have like a pop-up thing and dealing with the SDK, yeah, once we're like a lot more, we have a lot of financial wiggle room, that would be something to explore, I think. Does this tell us create and process orders?
All right, do we want to vote now, or?
Yeah, I think we probably do, unless Anar has got any additional questions.
Are we voting in the chat, like the group chat, right?
Let's do it in the group chat here. So put the line down. So 1, 2, or 3. Great, Anar. Okay, so put in your number. 1, 2, 3, 1 for simple, 3 for difficult, 2 for medium. And I'll say 3, 2, 1, go, and then we vote 3, 2, 1, go. And so we've got 3, 2, and 2. So Anar, I guess so you're thinking this is more complicated. Do you want to say why you think it's? I guess is that because you imagine it would be quite difficult for you to do, or there's yeah. So yeah, I think to speak on behalf of Michael and myself, I think assuming what we've investigated here just works, what this should probably consist of is it will be just us creating the end, like we already have the endpoint.
So it would basically consist of changing the PayPal button template to insert the user ID.
Right.
So that would be pretty simple.
And I think what it would
maybe having a test that checks that hidden variable's there.
Yeah, and then I think what we would be doing is we'd be
having a route with an endpoint.
And I think what we would be then doing is we would be hitting like this endpoint, post subscriptions, and which would be coming in with the user ID. And we would need to detect on that and switch on PayPal and like basically be doing this thing to like split to either do PayPal or either do Stripe. And so I think that's a bit more fiddly. I mean, we would have a separate test for that. We wouldn't have a complete round trip acceptance test, but yeah, so it kind of feels like 2 for I guess Michael and me, and not unreasonable that that's not knowing the system, it would feel like a 3 for Hannah. Why don't we just looking at this, making sure it all works there. I mean, we shouldn't need, I guess what we will need though, Michael, is we don't have the models to support it at the moment. So at the moment, we only have Stripe as a payment source. So we would need a PayPal. I guess we still don't actually technically need a change to the database, do we? So maybe let's hold out for 2 in the hope that it will be not too hard. And are you willing to concede to the majority there, given our additional explanation? And in the meantime, we've got a lot of we've got a big load of voting going on in the async vote. I think I'll put my vote in on the async vote as well. Let's go in there. Let's vote on that one. So, well, I think, and I was maybe away from the keyboard. I think I'm gonna take us into make that a 2, particularly since it's probably gonna be Michael and I working on it. So let's put that in there, and we can pull that into the top of the ready column. And yeah, okay. Well, I think I have to go karate. Yeah. So the next steps there are clear. God, that still doesn't even get us to getting it so that people can sponsor via that thing. Gosh. Anyway, yeah. All right. There we go. Thanks, guys.
All right.
I will see you. You around tomorrow, Michael?
Yeah, I'll be around.
I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.